So it shouldn't be surprising that ever since the day we were born, we were conditioned to be poor. The truth is that life and business are a competition. The top players make 80% of the money, while the bottom 80% only earns 20% of it. And the truth is that the people at the top want you to stay poor. They don't want to share with you. Yesterday, I sat behind the wheel of my first Ferrari at only 20 years old. And no, I didn't get lucky, and no, I didn't come from a rich family. I know what it's like to sleep in a basement infected with rats in the summer. And that's why in this video, I want to share with you how we are conditioned to stay poor. And not only that, but I will also share with you directly how you can break free from your social economical status. The first thing that you need to understand is that if your parents are low income, then your chances of being low income as well in the future, they're very high. Most of the time, parents transfer their own beliefs onto their children. So because most people have terribly false and incorrect beliefs about the way that money works, that's the sort of beliefs that they're going to transfer to their children. And it's not like they mean any harm most of the time, they just don't know any better. Truth is, ever since the day you were born, people have been expecting you to behave a certain way, to think a certain way. Shackles have been put onto you from the very start, and very few are the people who manage to break free. But if you follow the advice I'm going to give you in this video, it is not too late. You still have your chance. That said, you cannot listen to your broke friends who tell you that you should go to university and get a good job and that this is all that life is, if your goal is to build a successful business and to create an abundant life for yourself. Because if you do listen to them, you will end up in a similar position. And is this really what you want? The same is true with your parents. You should not listen to your parents' advice unless you want to end up in the same financial position. You wouldn't take weight loss advice from a novice personal trainer, would you? Now, something else that the elite is very good at doing is keeping the masses, so you and I, in ignorance. Most people don't have a clue about how money works, and that's why they keep passing on limiting, false and negative beliefs about money to their children. So take a look at what a classroom used to look like a century ago, and then take a look at what a classroom looks like today. Can you spot a difference? Because I don't see any. Now take a look at what airplanes used to look like compared to what they look like now. And take a look at what Dubai used to look like a couple years ago compared to what it looks like now. As you can see, the difference is night and day. However, the school system has not moved an inch. You see, sometimes you will hear people say that the school system is broken. I've said that sometimes. But the truth is that the school system is not broken at all. In fact, it's doing exactly what it was designed to do. Turn people into good employees and taxpayers. That's it. Now, would you agree that the less you know about a specific topic, the easier it's going to be for somebody to scam you, right? Now, what would you say if I pointed out the fact that school doesn't teach you about taxes? Strange, right? So as you can see, everything in society seems to be wired to condition us, or at least the vast majority of us, the masses, to stay poor. All of this inserts negative and incorrect beliefs into your mind, which will prevent you from getting what you want in life, especially if you want abundance or luxury or wealth. Fear is the most powerful emotion used to manipulate and to control people, and the elite knows it. I've seen so many people criticize wealthy and successful people. In reality, the only reason they're doing this is because they're jealous. They're not willing to roll up their sleeves to put in the work and to learn from successful people. So they would much rather criticize them because they have the things that they want to have, but will never have. Now, unless you grew up in a pretty wealthy family, then chances are you will have many incorrect beliefs about money. The thing that you need to understand is that money isn't good or bad. It is simply a tool that we use to measure exchanges in value. I mean, imagine having to go to the store with a cart full of gold just to get some bread. How practical would that be? It would be very annoying. But having the wrong mindset isn't only about whether or not you believe that having a lot of money automatically means that you're a bad person and that you had to do like bad things to get that wealth. It's the way that you think. It's the questions that you ask yourself. For instance, if when you see something that you want to buy, but then you think, oh, it's too expensive, or oh, I can't afford it, well, let me tell you, you are right. You'll never be able to afford it. It's all about how you frame it. Instead, I invite you to ask yourself, how can I make more money? Or what can I do to make more money and to afford this in the future? If you simply declare that you cannot have this thing because it's too expensive or you can't afford it, you are shutting off your brain's ability to figure out a way to get what you want. Because you're saying it's not even a possibility in the first place, so why even bother? Instead, if you ask open-ended questions, for instance, how can I make more money? Or how can I afford this? You will see that your brain will start to come up with many different ideas as to how you could increase your income. Now, something else that conditions us to stay poor is having the wrong goals. If your only reason to make more money is so that you can buy a mansion or a sports car, that's great. But let me tell you, most of the time for most people, it is not going to be a deep enough reason, a compelling enough reason to drive you to take action. Success, no matter the endeavor, requires a lot of perseverance, hard work, and persistence. If you hate what you do but you only do it for the money, at some point you're going to quit because it's not going to be enough for you. And truthfully, you could have a sports car and a nice mansion, but then after a while you're going to get used to having this life. So it's not like they're going to be as fun as they were before. So if you don't have any other goals, then life is going to lose meaning. And that's why you can see super famous and wealthy people who get depressed and who sometimes they end their own life. And I totally get you if one of your reasons for wanting to make more money is so you can buy nicer stuff. I mean, let's face it, when we don't have access to those things, we want them. And you're allowed to experience those things as well. But like I said, once you experience luxury and abundance on a daily basis, these things, they simply become normal for you. They're like a hygiene standard. Now, it doesn't mean that you won't enjoy driving a sports car or going to a nice dinner, for instance. However, those things will not be enough to motivate you to keep working harder because you already have the sports car. You can already dine in the best restaurants in the world. So the goal of simply making more money, it will not make any more sense. So while it's completely fine to want to make more money to buy nicer stuff, on its own, it's not a strong enough reason to push you to take action and to do whatever the hell it takes to get to the top. People who fall for this will try any side hustle, but they'll never stick to it. Or worse, when they will hear that a crypto or a new stock is going to explode, they will invest all of their savings into it. So they will constantly fall for illusions and they will never actually build a real tangible company that provides value to the market and to customers. I'll be honest with you, I've seen so many people come and go in this industry. Some more honest than others, some less honest than others. The ones who stay are the ones who provide real tangible value to their customers and to their market. So if your YouTube history is full of the top 10 ways to make money online or videos of that kind, it's fine if you don't know which business to start just yet, but you're still probably in that phase which every entrepreneur has to go through when they first get started, which is to look for shiny objects. However, if you really want to be successful, you need to pick one thing and stick with it. In this case, one business, and stick with it long enough to get the results that you want. You can't expect to try a business for a week or two, or worse, to invest $1,000 in crypto or in the stock market and hope that you will become rich instantly. It doesn't work that way, otherwise it would be too easy. Now, another thing that conditions us to stay poor is the lack of willingness to learn of most people. Look, I want to be totally transparent with you at all times because it's what allows you to move forward. But if you knew how to make millions of dollars, you would probably already be making millions of dollars. So if it's not the case, it probably means that you have a lot to learn still. So you can't assume that you know everything, that you don't have anything to learn from anyone, because you don't know what you don't know. That's the Dunning-Kruger effect. You become interested in a topic, let's say personal finance, and you overestimate how much you actually know on the subject, when in reality, you still have this big learning curve ahead of you. And even if you've been studying a specific field for decades, you still have more to learn. Growth is constant, meaning the process of learning, it never actually stops. The thing that separates most middle class members from the upper class or the very wealthy, it's their knowledge. They don't have the same beliefs, so they don't behave the same way either. Rich people invest before they spend. Middle class people just spend and they don't invest most of the time. Or when they do invest, they don't actually do proper research before, so they usually lose money. The thing that you need to realize is that if you want to make any progress in life, whether that be in business, in sports, or in any other area in life, you need to realize that you do not know everything. That's why you need to ditch your ego for a bit and be willing to learn from other people. This means that you can learn what to do from the people who have what you want to have, but also it goes the other way around. You can learn what not to do from people who don't have what you want. You can learn from both sides, as you should. And in that same spirit, you can learn from your own mistakes, and you should, but you should also learn from the mistakes of others. Now finally, one other thing that keeps us poor, that conditions us to stay poor, is the fear of missing out on opportunities. The thing that you need to realize is that smart investors, they buy when everyone is selling and they sell when everyone is buying. They're doing the opposite of what the masses are doing. So when you hear everybody start to talk about this new crypto coin or the new NFT or the new stock, you should stay away from it, believe me. Same thing when you hear most people talking about investing in real estate. When you see most people, they invest in real estate, then you should know better than to invest in real estate yourself at this moment in time. If people buy massively, they're going to massively inflate the price, so it's going to shoot through the roof, but then it's going to crash back down, and the crash, believe me, most of the time, from what we've seen, it is very, very hard. Millions of people lost everything in real estate and in crypto because they invested when everyone else was so hyped and when everyone else was investing as well. And now they lost all of their savings. Some people even took out like debts to invest. And now, well, if they could go back in time and not invest, believe me, they would. And yes, we have all heard about the crypto millionaire. Like somebody buys some crypto and they become a millionaire without having to do anything. But that's the exception, not the rule. It's like winning the lottery. And 70% of lottery winners, they go broke within just a few years. Now, in my opinion, investing in something, it's only risking when you don't understand what you're doing. If you do your research correctly beforehand, then you should at least get a decent or a good return on your investment. So bottom line, if there's really one thing that you need to take away in this video, is that society as a whole is conditioning us to stay poor. So if you want to obtain different results from the majority of people, you need to take a different path. You cannot do what everyone else is doing and expect to somehow become a multimillionaire or to build great wealth. Nowadays, with the internet, and especially with the accessibility of ebooks and online courses, you can learn everything that you need to learn in order to build a thriving business from the ground up. With that said, if you want to figure out what's the best online business to start for beginners, I've made a video analyzing every popular business model, and we figure out together which one is the best to start. The link is in the description. With that said, I am waiting for you on the other side.